Somewhere right now, someone is lighting a cigarette. They don't think about it, they just do it. The way you check your phone, the way you tap your foot to a song. It feels modern. It feels like a habit built for stressed out people in a stressed out world. But here's the question that should stop you cold. What if that small act connects you to something 12,000 years old? What if the first humans to do this weren't relaxing after work? They were doing something we still don't fully understand. This is the story of how archaeologists went looking for the origins of farming, and instead stumbled onto something that rewrote the timeline of human behavior entirely. In 2021, archaeologist Darren Duke was excavating a dried-up lake bed in Utah called the Wishbone Site. He wasn't looking for anything to do with smoking, he was mapping how Ice Age hunter-gatherers moved through the landscape. Then, around an old hearth, his team found something small: 4 charred seeds. When the lab results came back, they identified them as wild tobacco. And when the dating came back, the number didn't make sense at first: 12,300 years old. That number shouldn't make sense. Farming didn't exist yet. Cities didn't exist. Writing didn't exist. And yet people who owned almost nothing, who followed herds across a freezing landscape, were deliberately feeding tobacco into their fire. The placement of the seeds ruled out accident. This was a choice. Which raises the real question: why would people with no calories to spare, no safety net, spend effort on a plant that gave them neither food nor warmth? Here's where evidence gives way to theory, and that line matters. Researchers don't know for certain why. But wild tobacco carries far more nicotine than today's crop, and in small doses, nicotine can suppress hunger and fight fatigue. For a hunter tracking prey for hours, that's not a luxury, it could be survival. The story doesn't stop in Utah. In 2019, a research team led by Yang Yimin was studying wooden burial containers, called braziers, from a 2,500-year-old cemetery high in China's brutal, thin-aired Pamir mountains. Inside, they found chemical residue from burned cannabis, but not an ordinary strain. This variety showed unusually high psychoactive potency, whether through cultivation or careful sourcing. And these containers weren't found beside campfires. They were found inside graves. The smoke wasn't for the living. It was for the dead. Picture it: thin mountain air, a funeral, thousands of years old. Mourners feeding smoke into the space around a body, believing it carried something between worlds. Then the story moves again to the jungles of Mesoamerica and a mystery carved directly into stone. Maya temple walls and painted pottery are covered in glyphs that took decades to decode. Epigrapher David Stewart helped crack them. Among the images, figures holding rolled bundles to their mouths, smoke curling upward, carved with obvious care. This wasn't hidden. It was on vessels made for rulers, on temples meant to be seen for generations. Smoking was powerful enough to carve in stone. 3 places, 3 centuries, a desert hearth, a mountain funeral, a jungle temple. One thread runs through all of them: smoke, treated not as habit, but as something meaningful enough to matter. Which brings us to the uncomfortable question. Somewhere between those ancient fires and today, something got lost. The chemistry stayed almost exactly the same. Nicotine still does what it always did. But the meaning shrank. What was once medicine, ritual, or a bridge to the dead became a 5-minute break in a parking lot. The plant didn't change, we did. So next time you see someone light a cigarette, or if it's you, there's a strange thought, or it's sitting with. You're repeating an act that predates farming, predates cities, predates almost everything we call civilization. Your ancestors weren't chasing a habit, they were chasing meaning. Maybe the real mystery isn't when humans started smoking, maybe it's when we stopped asking why.